Welcome to the Reviews Without Remorse podcast with Joe and Dave. Be warned, the discussions in this podcast will contain detailed spoilers. For spoiler-free reviews of newly released films, please check out our channel Reviews Without Remorse on YouTube and VidMe. Enter at your own risk and enjoy the show. And welcome back to another episode of Reviews Without Remorse. I am, as always, your good buddy Joe. With me, as always, is my partner Dave. What's going on, pal?
Not much, man. Long time no talk.
Long time no talk. Today's episode, we have some not-so-nice news from the DC world we will discuss, but then...
We swear we're not going to bag on DC much.
Yeah, we are definitely taking a break from that this week. But then we are going to discuss the fourth installment in the Die Hard franchise, Die Hard 4, Live Free or Die Hard, or Die Hard 4.0, depending on where you look.
The dead shall live. My slain shall rise again.
So, this week there was a headline which caused a lot of people to turn their heads twice. Zack Snyder has stepped down from the post-production duties of Justice League, and Joss Whedon has stepped in to replace him. And just as I was getting ready to pounce and say, oh, more stuff about DC and yada yada yada, we found out that it was actually due to a tragedy in Zack Snyder's family. And it is something I would not wish on my worst enemy. So I will just say our thoughts and our prayers go out to him and to his family.
Look, I'm going to make this clear if it hasn't been made clear. Okay, I don't hate Zack Snyder. I don't think he's right for being the leader of the DC universe, but I don't hate the guy. I actually enjoyed his remake of Dawn of the Dead. I liked the 300 movies. I liked the Watchmen movies. So let's get that out of the way.
Agreed.
That aside, basically, without sensationalizing it, and I guess just the fact that we're talking about it sort of sensationalizes it. This is a double sad story. It's sad in one respect that the reason is his eldest daughter, like his first child, committed suicide back in March, actually, and he managed to keep it on the QT for a while, and the whole reason he even stepped down, you almost have to admire him. He stepped down because they needed to do reshoots, and it's like, okay, we need to do reshoots, and he's like, you know what, traveling over to England, I just don't think that's a good idea for me, not right now, not with my family and everything like that, so I'm going to have to step down. And like, he could have just said, you know, I'm sorry to do this to you guys, but you're going to have to figure out the PR angle of it, but please, I don't want the whole world to know. But in the end, he said, you know what? I don't want people to think this is because I'm fired. I don't want them to think, you know, there's already enough negativity surrounding it. So he had to confess about why he was doing this, simply to shut assholes like you and me up. Yeah. Come on, because this is one of the reasons why I'm not going to give the guy too much shit, because not us personally. I'm sure like Zack Snyder's not listening to our podcast going, "Oh, these fuckers! I'm going to show them." You know, I sincerely doubt that, but it's
as a whole, like us.
Yeah. It's people like us who are complaining about, you know, the way things are going in as passionate a methodology as we have. Now, granted, we are 100% allowed to have our opinions, and we do have a right to disseminate what we're told and figure out where the truth really lies, because Hollywood is never going to tell us the truth. They're never going to tell us the truth of what actually happened here. I mean, on Reddit the other day, I was reading this AMA with Val Kilmer, and something I had never even known, but Val Kilmer says that basically when they were producing Tombstone, the movie Tombstone that he was with Kurt Russell and the late Powers Booth, as we were talking about last week, the original director got fired, and they brought in the guy who directed Rambo First Blood Part 2, which is the most oddly sounding title of a movie ever. They brought him in, but Val Kilmer basically says that Kurt Russell directed the rest of Tombstone. All right. Now this is 20 years later. This is the whole point that I'm trying to say is like when it comes to Hollywood, we will never completely know the truth. So a part of me is really admiring that he wants people to realize, look, this is not that we've lost faith in this product. This is not that I fucked it up or anything like that. This is kind of a serious reason for me to step down.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
I kind of hate that it had to come to that. But on the other side of the coin, I'm kind of like, but I admire that he's at least honest about it.
Yeah, it is. And it's. I'm sure he would much rather have kept it under wraps. But again, a guy in his position, how can you? How do you keep that? The fact that he kept it quiet as long as he did is a feat. And I'm sure from what I've heard, again, and I'm not exactly TMZ in this respect, but from what I heard, a lot of people in the media did know it. And were decent enough to keep it quiet because he asked, can we ask them not to say anything, and they didn't. Yeah, from what I heard, people have been very decent about this. So props to that. And and here's the thing too. One of the things that sort of came to mind, and I hadn't really heard anyone say it, but as I'm kind of waiting for someone to say, well, maybe he should have stepped down a long time ago. Why did he wait this long? Here's the thing too. This guy is in charge of $1 billion franchise, and it's not about money. It affects people's lives. There are people in the industry, not just the top name actors, not just people across the board who would be greatly affected if he ducked out. So props for sticking it out as long as he did. Again, now that he got to this crossroads where they're going to go back again, I could totally understand him saying, look, no, somebody else had. And Joss Whedon is no slouch. So it's a good name to get in there. He's going to do right. Is he going to completely redo it no, probably not. He's probably just going to do his reshoots and move on. But, again, props to Zack Snyder for toughing it out as long as he did. Because that is a serious, serious position to be in. To be in charge of that much, have that big a responsibility, to carry that franchise. Again, it's humongous. So, again, you're potentially talking billions in proceeds that, again, not just affect the top of the line, but a lot of people down the line. A lot of people. I mean, you see credits. When you see credits roll these days, that's like half the state of Wisconsin that are making films today. So again, props to him for toughing it out as long as he did. And again, you know what? Why not use this as a chance to say, you know what? I love a lot of it. Like you said, the DC movies are not. It's not my brand of vodka. It's not what I'm there for. But again, this guy's done 300. He's done Watchmen. He's done phenomenal work. I mean, I think The Watchmen is an amazing film and frankly very underrated. 300, I think, is brilliant. So, I mean, I could watch them over and over. It's probably precisely for the reasons I like those films that I don't like. Again, I want DC Comics to be a light, colorful, fun, exciting. I don't want Watchmen in my DC. For the reasons I like the Watchmen is why I'm not crazy about where the DC is going. But like I said, those films are phenomenal. This guy is not a slouch. He's a phenomenal filmmaker. So again, it's a good opportunity to say Zack Snyder is a certified genius. Frankly, I like I said, his take on something that I have a preconceived interpretation of, not the same. But again, no one is going to tell me that Zack Snyder is not a good filmmaker because the stuff he does is spectacular.
Yeah, and his visuals are outstanding. The man really knows how to frame a fucking shot. You can't take away from the guy's talent. And my story, at least I hope I've been consistent with this. My story has always been, look, I just feel like he's not right for this particular story that he's telling. It's time. Somebody else needs to tell a story. Somebody who gets the humor, gets the fact that it's not always gloom and doom. Even the source story. One of the source stories that they're looking at, Injustice, the video game Injustice. Which, by the way, folks, if you haven't played it, you really, really should. The new one just came out, and it's really, really fucking good. The story in it is really, really well told. And even though it's this world where Superman lost everything and is getting maniacal and like so on and so forth, you can still tell these dark tales, but still have this lightheartedness. One of my favorite parts in the game is just before the last fight between Batman and Superman. They talk about, remember when you told me Lois was pregnant. Like that one little moment of that glimmer of friendship between the two of them.
Yeah.
You know, where it's like where Batman says, I miss that Clark, and Clark's like, me too. And then they fucking fight. That was oh my God, that was 10 times better than fucking Batman v Superman. But my point is like, we're just saying we have never ever done a personal attack on Zack Snyder as far as I can remember. We've just said we don't think he's right for this product. You know, we quote, you know, in my world, Batman could get raped in prison, and we're like, dude, seriously, stop. just stop, okay? Just stop. It's like, you know, is that an interesting tale? Sure, I guess that could be an interesting tale. You know, but that's a tale like in Batman 4 you may want to tell. Don't open up with that, for God's sakes.
Yeah. Right, like I said, it never gets personal, and if it does, I'm not on board with that.
And I'm apologizing.
There's no reason.
Yeah.
No, but I mean we've kept it on above board, I think.
I think so too.
So, but again, you know, it's, you know, prayers go out, because again, it's something I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy, frankly.
No, I agreed. And you know what? Good luck, man. Good luck to you, to your family. I can't imagine it being any worse.
That's it. Take care of your family. That's all you can do.
I'm doing America a favor. Is the country willing to pay for it?
FAA just issued a critical alert. The entire network went down.
Transportation system is crashing, and they just hit the entire financial sector.
You have no idea who you're dealing with.
I'll take it from here.
Live Free or Die Hard, or Die Hard 4.0. You know how I like to do things. I like to get the bad shit out of the way. Okay, so basically, the general gist of Die Hard 4 is it's hackapalooza. Everything is hacker this. Hacker, we're hacking this. This is getting hacked by that. This you know, it's the buzzword. It was 2007 when it came out, and that was the big thing. It's like, you know, cyber attacks is the next big thing. And, you know, I don't disagree with that particular assessment, but this movie kind of took it to a level that I, even as a person who works in the IT industry, I'm kind of like, really? Really? You're gonna try to sell that one with a straight face? Okay, sure. Mm-hmm. But you know, so I found the action. There's this one action sequence where they're in a tunnel, and the hacker has hacked it so that, you know, both directions are basically coming at Bruce Willis and Justin Long, the hacker. Okay, and you know, this was what I saw this scene in the trailer, and this was what turned me off to the movie. Okay, they're in the tunnel, and these cars, they're flipping over and stuff like that, and they duck just as these two cars happen to come along in time to save them from getting crushed by that one vehicle. Yeah, and I was kind of like, okay, you know what? That's just no. That's no. That doesn't work for me. That's horrible. What the fuck? I mean, you know, it doesn't. The one thing I've always appreciated about the Die Hard series is that at least, you know, when you saw an actor fall or something like that, or just slide under something or things like that, you knew that was an actual actor. This kind of pulled me out of it, you know, a little bit. And then I think what cemented it was basically 5 seconds later when he makes a car take out a helicopter.
Didn't like that?
You know what? If the guy was low and like he made the car come off the bridge and hit the thing, that would have been fine. I would have been okay with that. But basically the helicopter is, I don't know, maybe 40, 50 feet up in the air, and he drives the car. It hits the toll booth at just the right angle to get it up in the air and fly into the helicopter, but enough time for Mr. Parkour motherfucker to jump out of said helicopter, because we need him for the big finale later on, and live. And I'm kind of like, now you're really pushing the whole reality thing a little bit here. Because, you know, there's no guarantee that he would have hit that toll booth at exactly that right angle to just happen to get it in that, you know. It's like, for God's sakes, I would have taken the conceit of, oh no, there was a tow truck, one of those flatbed tow trucks. I would have taken that conceit over it hit the toll booth, sheared off the top of the toll booth, not losing any momentum, and still managing to hit the goddamn helicopter. All right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, now there's a couple more things. Traffic. Okay, this was another big thing. Basically, the first step of the three-phase plan is you take out travel. You take out the ability for people to travel around. So they've kind of fucked up all the highways by opening up the lights and stuff like that, so on and so forth. And they make it a big point as to shit, traffic is all snarl, blah, blah, so on and so forth. Until about 5 seconds later, when it was necessary, as they're escorting the guy, and the helicopter comes and finds them, and they have a fucking car chase. In the middle of all this goddamn traffic, suddenly everything's open enough for them to have this huge-ass car chase that leads them into that tunnel. What the hell? All right? Then there's that. And last but not least, this is another one. Last but not least, so here I am. I want to show off my amazing hacking abilities, how I can use social engineering to hack things. We have just established that all communications have been shut down. You can't use cell phones. All that's been shut down, which is phase 2. You shut down all the communications, and the last is you shut down power. Okay? All communications are down. Okay, let's get in this car. You can't hotwire the car. Here, let me do this. I'm going to call OnStar. Oh, OnStar works. OnStar fucking works, even though all communications have just been cut off. Really? Oh, my dad's having a heart attack. It's like, no, bullshit. You're not getting through it. Use the same goddamn signals as cell phones and... Oh.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Are you done with the... Is that your... Is this a good time to jump in and defend?
Honestly, that was it. That was the majority of my problems with the movie. Other than that, now you can... I'll let you jump in just a second, because now that I've gotten that out of the way, okay, it felt like Die Hard, okay? He was fucking John McClane. He was doing the little mumbling to himself and stuff like that, like he did in the first Die Hard, which I really appreciated. He actually had a personal stake in this, in the kind of sort of introduction of his daughter, reintroduction of his daughter Lucy, which, by the way, the minute I saw her, I was like, oh my God, that's Lucy? Bitch, you got him in trouble the first time with Come Home!
Yeah, that's true.
So I was okay with that. I honestly, it wasn't a terrible movie. It was a okay Die Hard movie. Okay, if you're asking me for my immediate reaction, like say this versus say With a Vengeance, I like this better than With a Vengeance, because I kind of feel like it was closer to the original idea of Die Hard than With a Vengeance was. And I kind of felt like you had a relatively decent motivation on the part of the villain, although it still seemed kind of weird. You had some really good fight sequences. You had him busting the freaking villain's balls over the walkie-talkies again, which I got a kick out of. It felt more like a Die Hard movie than the last one. So in that respect, I appreciated it, and I enjoyed it. I won't say it's like the greatest movie of all time, and I only place it slightly above Die Hard With a Vengeance. In terms of Die Hard movies, but you can nitpick any really action movie if you try hard. I thought Timothy Olyphant played a pretty decent villain. I kind of felt like when he first goes up against Maggie Q in the at the generator place, I was like, oh fuck, how the fuck is he gonna get out of this? And there's no way, he's older, and they didn't really do the look, I'm like Superman even though I'm like 60 years old or anything like that. It's like, no, he fucking got hurt. She fucked him up, and he was like, okay, fine. I can't take this person 1-to-1. Fuck it, I'm going to hit her with a goddamn car. Yeah, the conceit is kind of silly, but still, at least it made sense. It's like, okay, yeah, you can't fight the fucking Asian whore, as he calls her later on, or whatever the fuck. We're going to find another one of those. I mean, come on. Even the one-liners were right there with it.
Right. I agree with you in the stuff about the hacking being really far-fetched. I absolutely agree with you. I did think a lot of it was very far-fetched. There was parts of it where I'm like, geez, you're right. Like, he can do everything. They can turn off every light switch. They can change every crosswalk. I said, if this gets any more crazy, this is going to be like Superman 3, and the two guys in the crosswalks are going to start slapping each other. I mean, it was really kind of getting that level of. But again, I did say to myself, well, then again, I don't know what they can do nowadays, and frankly, there is something to be said for the fact that, there's a lot more that they can do hacking-wise and all this other stuff. And they did sort of go to the trouble to say, look, we had not legions, but we we had like all the really smart hackers doing work for us, and they had to give us their work, and it wasn't until all that legwork was done that we could do this. So I'm like, all right, you know what? Again, a little far fetched, but I'm on board with it. I can deal with it, and I can deal with that. That the next incarnation of attacks would be something kind of like that. Having said that, I thought Die Hard 4.0, whatever you call it, I thought this one was excellent. I was really impressed with this film. I did not expect too much. I shouldn't say, I don't know what I expected. I said this could either go south or it could, be really good. I think I even saw a clip. I think I remember, I don't know what I went to see, but I think one of the theaters was showing, just a 3-minute preview. Mm-hmm. And it was basically the shootout, the original shootout in the kid's apartment. Then they get down to the car, and then it's the part when the guy jumps down, and again, that's getting crazy too already. But he kind of acrobats down, and he lands on the fence, and just as McClane is running to hit the gate, he climbs up and jumps on the top of the chain link fence.
Get your head down! Is the circus in town?
And he goes, "Is a circus in town?" I'm like, "That's John McClane." I was like, "That's awesome," And then when he hits the thing, knocks the guy flying. The kid they both go like, "Whoa!" And the kid's like, "Oh my God, did you see that?" He goes, "Yeah, I saw it. I did it." I'm like, "That's John McClane. I love it." I was loving that. I was like, "Oh my God, this is great." So then when I finally saw the whole thing, I was So yeah, that was awesome. I mean, I was like, "Oh my God, this is great." It's, it started out a little slow. I didn't know if I was okay with, bringing in the daughter. I was like, okay, all right, it's not Holly. I really would have liked to see Holly come back for these films, but okay, I guess I can't have that. The daughter, it makes sense. It makes sense. And like I said, we got personal stakes again. I thought the kid was pretty good. I thought the kid, and this is the kid I've only seen from the "I'm a Mac and I'm a PC" commercials. Yeah. Remember the old Apple commercials?
Hello, I'm a Mac.
And I'm a PC.
So seeing him in this movie...
He was also in Galaxy Quest.
Was he? Okay. So I thought it was kind of funny. I'm like, wow, he really made a pretty big jump to be next to Bruce Willis in this movie. But I thought they were good together. I thought they kind of banter back and forth. And again, Bruce Willis is Bruce Willis being the adult doesn't want to hear this kid, and this kid, blah, 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 and he's like, whatever, just shut up. I thought their kind of back and forth was really good. They were definitely a good odd couple. Much better to me than Samuel Jackson and Bruce Willis.
Agreed. They definitely, they played off of each other very well. There was a reason why he was stuck with him and why he stuck with him. And right. It wasn't too out of bounds. It's like, yeah, okay, this guy just saved his life, so I could see him wanting to stick around and everything. That's fine. And I like people, like a couple of people I spoke with were like, they complained about his bag of tricks. It's like, no, you don't understand. It's like, I have a bag of tricks, and I'm nowhere near as advanced as this guy. Okay, yeah. I carry all those types of wires and shit like that with me. So it's like, that's not even a conceit to me. That's fine. I could that if you're worried of all the realistic things, if the guy carrying around a bag of tricks that just happens to have all the tools he needs, no, that's not something unbelievable. That's a fact.
Yeah.
You carry that shit. I go to goddamn conventions with enough wire to freaking string up shit.
Right? Exactly.
And I don't even need it.
Yeah. I mean, again, this kid's a full-blown, computer guru. I had no problem with any of that, yeah. I like the fact that, even when he gets to, they finally get to Washington, and he walks in, and the government guys are scrambling around trying to figure out what's going on. He's like, oh, don't worry, we got contingencies for these, or whatever. At one point, the kid says something like, if that little bald guy knows half as much as I do, something or other. And I kind of bought it. I was totally on board with that, because I'm thinking to myself, yes, a bunch of government suits would not know half of what's going on compared to the... I totally bought that. The idea that he would know 10 times more from being in the trenches and actually doing and developing this kind of stuff, as opposed to the elected officials who would wish they knew half as much. Yeah, I had no problem with that at all. So I'm on board with the whole idea of it. The villains, I didn't know... I thought it was okay. Again, and I like the idea that this is old school John McClane versus new school villains and new school threats and new school everything. They did it without overdoing it. You know what I mean? They could have jammed that down your throat harder. I thought that it was done really well. John, again, he's street smarts and fists, not, high tech. So I thought it was pretty smart. I thought they really did that kind of well. I agree with you. The parts in like the tunnels with the cars flying everywhere and bouncing yeah. I wasn't crazy about that. And again, it's like, well, what can we do with CGI now? And I kind of feel like every movie these days, even that don't need CGI, they're all sort of saying, well, okay, well, we have this at our disposal. What can we do? So you're going to get a scene or two where the CGI looks a little silly. Again, like just kind of the ducking under the car just the last second, not my favorite moment either. But again, I thought all of it was great. It definitely felt like McClane. It felt more like a Die Hard. Again, we're not in enclosed spaces. We're still out in the open, very much so. In fact, you could even argue, I complained about Die Hard with a Vengeance not being confined at all. In fact, they're in wide open all over Manhattan. Here, they're starting in New Jersey, ending up down in Washington, and then and beyond. So yeah, they're all over in this one. So that part of it. But again, like I said, how often can you keep doing that trick? That's a tricky one to try to keep doing. But I thought all of it was really good. I thought the action was pretty sharp. I thought the dialogue was great. Kevin Smith's cameo was funny. One of these days, you have to explain to me the relationship stories with Kevin Smith and Bruce Willis.
They're no longer friends. When they were doing the movie Cop Out, the one with Tracy Morgan, he in some of Kevin Smith's talks, he talks about it. He's like, he said it was a heartbreaking thing to happen because he loved Bruce Willis, but it seems Bruce was argumentative on the set. It seems that he didn't really respect Kevin as a director. Because Kevin Smith is a very off-the-cuff director, and the fact that Kevin Smith doesn't really have a lot of technical knowledge as much as Bruce Willis would have liked that. There was stuff like that. I actually seen Kevin Smith do a talk about it, and when people ask him, he's like, it's heartbreaking to me. It's like, people used to ask me about two things. They asked me about Shannon Doherty and Bruce Willis, and I'd take Shannon Doherty 500 times a week over one day with Bruce Willis.
Wow. That's saying something, too.
Has any actor ever told you this, Jamie? This part is not acting, what we're doing right now. You might be. But we're just selling the film now. Sales. That fun part was making the movie.
There was that interview for Red 2. Oh, God. Him and the hot chick. What the hell is her name?
From Red 2? Michael Douglas's wife?
No, not Michael Douglas's wife. That's Catherine Zeta-Jones. No,
yes,
the other one. Fuck.
The girl from the movie?
God. Yeah, the girlfriend. The girlfriend. I can't remember her goddamn name.
We'll do it live! Fuck it!
Mary Louise Parker. Okay, thank God.
There you go.
Thank you, Internet Movie Database. We should get them as a sponsor. Mary Louise Parker. He was doing an interview for Red 2 with Mary Louise Parker sitting right there next to him, and the guy asked, a relatively silly question or something like that, and he just flipped his shit. And there's Mary Louise Parker. Here's looking like, trying very hard to keep a straight face, but in the meantime, Bruce is just like losing his goddamn mind over some stupid question, and it's just. So yeah, he's not, his reputation isn't all that hot when it comes to that stuff. I mean, that's, when Kevin Smith says it's like, oh, that kind of sucks. When Kevin Smith and Stallone says something, it's kind of like, well, there's a little smoke there. And then when that interview came out, I was like, well, look at that. Bruce Willis is a dick. That's just depressing.
Yeah, it is a little depressing.
Oh, what, like you a big fan of the Fat?
No. It's always more of a Star Wars guy.
Star Wars guy. Who is this man?
He's my... Dump truck. I'm not his dad. I'm a cop.
How about that?
I'm a police officer.
Cop. I'm sorry. Thank you very much.
Why'd you bring a cop into my command center?
Command center.
It's a basement.
It's a command center.
Don't help, McClane. I can explain. Just tell us what you know about Thomas Gabriel, all right? That's why we came here.
Thomas Gabriel. That's cool. I didn't know. I'm sorry.
Get out! I want you out of here, man. Right now.
Hey, calm down. Just calm down, big boy.
You calm down. This is my house.
You're going to tell me what I want to know, or I'm going to beat you to death in your own house.
I like the Kevin Smith scene in that movie. I thought it was pretty clever.
And that's how he got him for Cop Out, as a matter of fact. The Kevin Smith scene was fine. The big finale at the end was fine. I just, I kind of felt like, the guy was the world's most neutered villain on the planet. Because I never believed for a second that Lucy was actually in danger with this guy. Because this guy was a fucking wuss.
I I don't know. Why do you say that? I didn't find him to be that way.
Well, I mean, he's, computer hacker guy, and he's fine and everything like that. His henchmen would surely, kill people. But if you think about it, did he actually personally kill somebody in this movie at all? I'm trying to remember. I don't think he personally killed anybody.
Well, there was the scene too, and this is actually this is kind of a watered down. It's funny you say this. There's the part you mentioned before when he goes into the tunnel. Mm-hmm. When he does the trick with setting both tunnels, where there's cars coming from either direction into the tunnel, they're heading
that's indirect
right for
dude.
each other. Yeah, well, it is. Yeah, it is indirect, and also it's funny because the way the scene plays, he says to the guy sitting at the desk, he's like now now turn on the other one, so the other cars, and the guy hesitates, right? Like he's like, oh my god, but people are gonna get hurt, and of course he says get out of the way, and he sits down, and he says don't ever hesitate again. So it was supposed to be this kind of chilling moment where he's going to kill people. But then again, you're kind of like, all right, but it's just cars. I mean, I know that, like, the headlights work. So that was the thing, too. In that scene when the lights all go out, I remember thinking, why aren't the headlights going on? Because,
seriously, that would have been my first instinct.
Yeah, I mean, you can't override the headlights in a car, right? So, like, why are the headlights not just automatically coming on? Like, some cars, the lights would go on automatically. But your instinct would just be, oh, it's dark, turn the headlights on. So I thought that was a little weird. Like, why would they just crash into each other? I mean, if you see cars coming at you, you're going to stop. So I thought that scene was a little silly. Like, it was almost like a watered-down version of what they did in Die Hard 2 when they crashed the plane.
Yeah,
it was
except that had a little more logic.
That had much more logic, and there was a reason for it, and it was chilling. I mean, he killed people, on purpose. Here, I thought it was a much more watered down version of that. Like they want to show the villain doing something terrifying. Like, oh my god, this guy's he's really that crazy. He's going to kill people. I get what you guys are going for there, but not quite.
In this particular context, it didn't work. They hadn't. The thing is, in the first Die Hard, Rickman showed that he wasn't afraid to kill because he killed Mr.
Takagi. Right.
Nakatomi himself.
Yes.
He killed Mr. Nakatomi himself. So right there, boom, establishes the badness. In Die Hard 2, like you said, boom, he does it right there himself. Even in Die Hard 3, they show him being a ruthless fuck. So this was my problem with, and this was nothing against the actor. I like Timothy Olyphant, especially if you see Deadwood, one of my favorite TV shows the past 10, 15 years. But it's like, he's the Mr. Computer Hacker, but he never actually personally kills anybody.
Yeah.
That's who the mercenaries are for. And which is why when he's holding the gun to Lucy, I'm like, no, I don't buy this. I don't buy that she's in danger at all. And even when at the end, when he finally does take a shot and McClane, goes down, he's not the one that hits him. He doesn't hit him. It was the freaking henchman. The other henchman is the one that hit him, and that's when he goes down. That's when he's going over like, "Oh, I'm going to kill you now. I'm going to kill you now." He never pulls the goddamn trigger. Instead, we get that sanitized version of Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
How about Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker?
Which, by the way, if there's another complaint about this movie, why the fuck was it PG-13? Why couldn't he say Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker?
Yeah, that was a weird... Yeah, you're right. I don't know why they felt this one to go... Well, that's the thing around this time frame. Everything was trying to be PG-13 to jack up ticket sales, but, I think that was sort of I think everybody kind of agreed that was not necessarily the way to get ticket sales. I mean, it's not like Die Hard, any of the Die Hards ever undersold because they are.
God forbid.
Yeah, I don't know. You're right, and it was it's funny because you can squeeze in a certain amount of F words into a film. You'd think they would have saved their big F bomb drop for that. I don't know if they said it someplace else, whatever, but I thought you could say it at least once or twice and still get away with it.
You get one, but I think motherfucker is a special one.
Really?
I think they consider motherfucker to be more so than say just fuck or fucker.
I'm kind of surprised. I'm surprised they couldn't just say, "Hey guys, look, everything else in this movie is PG-13. Can we just get his line in there?" And I would have thought they would have let it go, but yeah, it's odd that they didn't, or they didn't try, or didn't let them. Yeah, I don't know why the push for PG-13. It didn't really make a lot of sense. And it is almost kind of sacrilegious that they kind of goof his... I mean, he sort of does say it, and I forget. He pulls the trigger right as the F word comes out, so you don't really hear it. But it was odd, but kind of a minor little oddity.
it rubbed me the wrong way, but nothing too terrible. You know what I mean?
Right. It's just
it's like
kind of a weird...
It's a test. Yeah, it was a weird addition.
Yeah, like a weird little twist. Like why, or development. Why would you go there? I don't know. Yeah. The PG-13, it does seem strange to me, but it's a minor...
Yeah. I wish they would stop doing that, because I mean, if anything, Deadpool proved it, but I guess that wasn't. I mean, that's happening. I mean, that's happening now. That wasn't then. So it's just market research bullshit. But it wasn't quite as terrible as I thought it was going to be, and I was very pleased with that.
Well, I'll tell you what. Let's fast forward to the end because I want to. Let me ask you. I want to ask you what your rating is going to be, and then we'll talk. It's not the end of the conversation, but I want to hear what your rating is so we can kind of go from there because I'm curious. Overall, what did you think of it?
I gave it a 6 with actually a 6.5.
Really? Okay.
Yep. I give it a 6.5. The reason I'm giving it a 6.5 is because it felt like a Die Hard movie, which was a hell of a change from the previous one. The characters didn't annoy me. I felt that, with the exception of the main villain, the side villains felt threatening, like they felt like they could actually do something, and each one of them got your typical over-the-top villain death, which you want. I mean, for God's sakes, he dropped a truck on the one, he put another through a fucking blender, basically. How fucking awesome was that?
Yeah.
What more could you possibly want for that?
Yeah.
But that said, being in the IT industry, I dinged at some points because it was hard to really swallow. It really was hard to swallow. I mean, is everything that they talked about impossible? Not really, but you could never really pull it off the way that they're talking about. All right, you could do pieces here, there, and everywhere, but the whole quote unquote fire sale.
Yeah.
You know what the funny part is like the infrastructure coming down, less having to do with super security and more having to do with just not connected to anything. Mm-hmm. Like that was the only thing I actually did appreciate was the fact that it's like, oh well, we have to actually go there to shut it down because it's actually not part of the network. It's like, well, thank you for acknowledging that there's actually some shit out there that's not on the goddamn internet.
Right, very true. And that's all true. I almost thought to myself, it's not that I don't think you could do the things that they were doing, but it was more like I can't see how you would need a robot with 20 arms. Like for you to be over here saying, okay, we're going to shut this down, and then, okay, now I want you to shut down the lights in the tunnel. That's a whole different, and I'm sure if you were quick enough and had the arms and the brain to do it, you could. But not that fast, not at your fingertips like that. Not with one keyboard.
Not to mention the fact, not everything is controllable from a computer. Okay, there can be sense, like the lights in the tunnel. It's like turn off the lights in the tunnel. It's like, well, you know what? That not necessarily is going to be controlled by a keyboard. It might have a sensor that says whether it's on or off. This idea of this whole world that's interconnected and that everything is on there is just. It's a fallacy. It's always been a fallacy. There are still too many manual steps to truly have something like that to happen. Do people want to automate it? Yeah. Do people want to automate a lot of that? Yes. Are a lot more things automated now than there were then? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But it's not quite as cut and dry as that.
Yeah, well, that's my point. Could it be done again? Like I said, if you had 12 different arms and a super duper fast brain to be able to. Yeah, like I said, you could not do all these things in one step in 3 different steps or 3 seconds or whatever. Yeah, that part I agree with. You see, I would score the whole film overall, though, much higher, again, because I thought the action was good. I mean, there were parts when I thought the action was pretty... First of all, I love the look of the film. When you watch it, that is a good-looking film. The color palette, it just looks damn sharp. It's a really good-looking film, shot well, good angles. There are some things where they're really kind of going the extra mile, and some of the parts when they're, especially in the hacking, they get a little montagey, but it works. It works really well. Again, for something that is far-fetched, they deliver it well. Again, I found that it's like anything else. You can tell me something is sort of far-fetched, but if you could sell it to me, if you can show me how you did it and make it look like it's possible, I'm with you. And I kind of felt that that's, like you said, I mean, again, they're not going to pull the wool over anybody's eyes, especially an IT guy like you, and say, oh, we did this. But again, like I said, you told me that you went out and you had these hackers over here writing this script and these guys over there writing that script, and we're putting it all together into one big super duper, whatever. Now I'm on board. Like, you went the extra mile and said, this is how we did it. So I'm there. It's like I said, it's not the supercomputer in Superman 3 where he just goes in there, gets drunk, and starts tapping buttons or whatever.
Anything I tell it to do, it will do. It's like, really?
Yeah. Like, well, that's good. That's a good invention. I'll have one too.
No, it wasn't quite super powerful, and your assertion about the action. Yeah, some of the action was really, really nice, but some of the action left me flat. I mean, for God's sakes, you got a freaking John McClane versus an F-35. Okay, John McClane versus an F-35 on the goddamn highway. Come on, man, he's shooting the shit out of that goddamn fucking John McClane should have been fucking chopped meat when that was done.
Listen, that's the one. See, again, I didn't mind that. It's kind of funny. I feel like when people talk about it, they sound like they're talking about the shot in Dr. Strangelove. The cowboy is riding the bomb down to the... Right, exactly. Yeah. He's on this thing, riding the back of the thing. Again, I like I said, it's far-fetched. It's pushing the envelope, even for John McClane. I definitely concede that. I thought the way the way it looked was pretty good. I didn't mind it. Again, I mean, other people said, it looks like bullshit. It's all CGI and it's this, that, and the other thing. I was pretty sold. I thought it was all right. I thought that was kind of cool, actually. And I mean, like I said, like I already complained about them dropping 30, 40 feet onto the boat in Die Hard 3, and I said bullshit. So yeah, I guess I got to be fair and say the same thing here. I mean, I forget what he dropped. Right, he drops and he hits the piece of road and slides down, and yeah, even on a good day that would hurt like hell. That would, you would be messed up even if you landed correctly on that piece of road. Yeah, I agree with that. Did it get to be too much? Yes. But again, I was sold on it. I mean, if anything, I thought the very end, the finale where he kind of squares off in the garage and he does the yippee-ki-yay, that was probably a little just okay. And incidentally, the fight with the ninja girl with Matt, have you been watching Designated Survivor by any chance?
No, it's one of those shows that's been on my list. And now the season's over, I might binge watch it.
Yeah, it's a good show. It's a really good show. We've been watching it since the first one. It was good. Very good. Maggie Q is in it. She plays an FBI agent. And there's a lot of scenes of her fist fighting guys, getting into fights and getting captured. And then she's walking around, and I'm like, this girl is like 80 pounds soaking wet. I gotta tell you, that was the one thing in the show that kind of kept bugging me. I'm like, every time they would show her, again, she's leading the other guys. All the other guys are wearing, vests and tactical gear and loaded up with weapons. She's wearing like a turtleneck and black paint, and a hat because hats look good on girls, and like I said, she just looks like I think 80 pounds is generous. She's skin and bones, and then she gets into these fist fights. I'm like, get the hell out of here! The guy would just grab her and throw her someplace,
Yeah.
But anyways, I kind of forgot. I forgot she was the one in this movie until I watched it again. So and again, I don't not like her, but I just kind of feel like. Eat a sandwich if you're gonna fist fight with John McClane.
That's enough of this kung fu shit. I know some bitches in my day, but I'll make it.
But anyway, that was pretty good. The other fight with the other guy was again good fights that were in there. I don't know. I felt like it delivered. Like the things I wanted from a modern Die Hard, it delivered, and I thought I was just pleasantly surprised. Yeah, I thought it was. I thought it was good. I thought it was really good. Again, yeah, far-fetched. I mean, I'll just tell you, my score personally is closer to an 8, honestly. I feel like this is...
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, again, Die Hard is the 10, and I think I gave Die Hard 2 about an 8, if I remember right.
I think so. I think I was around the same area, too.
Yeah, I think this one is on par with Die Hard 2. I think it's a little too far removed from the original Die Hard to really be an authentic, sequel in the way I think of a sequel. But as far as bringing John McClane back, delivering action, delivering the John McClane lines that that I liked, the dialogue, the circus is in town, and yeah, I saw it, I did it. Stuff like that, I just thought was terrific. I thought they did a good job, again, doing like old school McClane versus new school. And again, this is with all of these movies that are kind of, getting dredged up, like let's do Rocky 6 and Creed, and let's do, another Rambo, and let's, like these old franchises, the, Crystal Skull, I'm not going to go there. Again,
not yet.
Not yet, but it's coming, boy. Like again, how do you do it? How do you do that and make it so you're giving fans what they came for, but not in a way? Again, you can't pretend that the age gap isn't there. You can't pretend we're just going to put him back in, do what he did, and act like nothing ever happened. No, you have to recognize time has passed and it's different. So how do you do it? How do you do that yet deliver fans what they want? And I think this one did it. I think it really, really gave us, like I said, a classic John McClane in a modern world with modern threats, and having to deal with things a different way, but still guts and hardcore fist fights at the end prevails over new school hacking and ninja fighting, or whatever you want to call what she was doing, that kind of thing. I mean, again, it's old school McClane versus, and I thought they really pulled it off, and I thought the bringing the daughter into it made sense. Again, he had a good sidekick who again sort of illustrates the difference between the younger generation and the older generation. Even the part where they're driving, and he's like, Creedence Clearwater Revival, this is classic rock, man. He's like, oh, the kid's like, oh my god, this is ear rape, can you turn it off, please? Like that guy. Like, I thought that was great. Like, I was loving that stuff. I mean, again, it was kind of silly and disposable almost, but just really illustrated the points. I don't know, I thought it was really good. Again, a pleasant surprise. I didn't know what to expect from a modern-day Die Hard film, but I was sold. I felt like I got exactly what I paid for, and I was really happy with it. So I definitely feel like it's on par with the second one as far as follow-ups go. And, I think this one is better than Die Hard 3 by a pretty good stretch, actually.
All right. I buy your reasons why. My personal feeling is that... excuse me. My personal feeling is that, I don't mind the outrageous action and stuff like that if there's at least a semblance of logic to it, okay? The idea that they crashed a plane in the middle of a snowstorm, if you think about it logically, it's like, it makes no sense at all. But they earned it in that scene by bringing up, about the line that they use in bad weather to get planes down, and how they changed that, and so on and so forth. They added stuff in to at least give it an air of plausibility. Mm-hmm. Okay, the tunnel crash is just it's so a turd in the punch bowl that it makes it impossible for me to go above a 7 for this movie. Plain and simple, it's such a turd in the punch bowl. And it's hard for me to forgive.
No, hey, look, a 7 and an 8 is not that far apart. I mean, I don't think we're that opposed on this movie. I think we're more or less in the same camp. I think, but like you said, but the flaws in the technical logic are too much for you to swallow. I totally get that.
If a movie pulls you out of it, and it's like the new Jason Bourne movie. Okay. Yeah. Pulled me out of it in the first 5 minutes because of that stupid sequel line, because that's the business I'm in. It's like, that makes no fucking sense. It took me a good 30 minutes before I can get back into the movie because of that. And that whole sequence with the tunnel and stuff like that, it's just like, there's no logic in this. The two cars to go in the same direction, fine. But at some point, they're going to see, oh shit, there are cars coming my way. I better slow the fuck down. Instead of speeding the fuck up, which is what everybody did. Oh no, the lights have been turned out. I'm just going to keep driving. I'm not going to slam on my brakes or anything like that. I mean, that's two major lapses in logic, right? It's like, if it was a train tunnel, I would have been more forgiving, all right? And then to follow it up with the flying car into the helicopter, that was just it for me. And it lost that many points for me simply because of that. The rest of it was fine. I enjoyed the rest of the fight sequences. I enjoyed the rest of the action sequences. The scene where the truck is dangling in the elevator shaft was fucking brilliant. I loved that. That was great. But I can't forgive the shoddy workmanship earlier in the movie, and I'm not going to give it a higher score because of it.
Look, again, like I said, I can't even argue it. I the part when he shot the car up into the helicopter, I didn't mind that. I thought that was because again, it's not like the helicopter wasn't that high up. It was pretty low. It was low enough that it was more or less shooting into the tunnel. So I didn't mind, him being able to projectile the car up a little bit because it just had to get up enough. I mean, look, is that like shooting a needle in a haystack? Is it pretty unlikely that he's gonna target it and hit it? Yeah, but it's again. I mean, there's suspension of disbelief that I'm willing to make, and I didn't mind that. Again, the CGI-ish of them ducking and the cars hitting him, that bothered me a little bit more than the him driving. And yeah, like I said before, I mean, the cars going toward each other didn't make a whole heap of sense, and it wasn't the dramatic, oh my god, this guy's crazy, he's gonna kill these people moment that they hoped it would be. Yeah, so I agree with you there. But not nearly enough to take me out of the, I mean, seriously, if you want to really get silly, the part before that, when he crashes into, he takes one guy out of the helicopter by crashing into a fire hydrant, and the water goes up and hits the guy, knocks him out. That was probably a little more far-fetched than the other thing. So
that was a little bit more far-fetched, but it's like, all right, yeah, that's kind of crazy and silly, but you know what? In this kind of crazy thing, I'll let it slide. It's just,
yeah,
I can let little things slide. I can't let egregious things slide, and that whole scene with the tunnel just felt egregious. It's like, I would have even given the conceit of the two guys heading for each other and it causing like a problem. But this big giant accidents and cars flying all over the place and stuff like that just has zero sense. And I can't. I appreciate where you're coming from and everything like that, but this is definitely one of those, we're going to have to just let that slide between the two of us. Because that's just not, it's not going to happen. I can't. That tunnel scene, I seriously considered stopping for the night when that tunnel scene happened. That's how
really?
That's how off-putting it was to me. I was like, I appreciate what you were trying to do, but you know what? In this particular case, it didn't work.
Yeah,
it did not work, and you should almost be ashamed of yourself for even trying to make that work.
Yeah, I mean, I will. I'll have to agree with you. I mean, it does. It like, okay, there's suspension of disbelief, and then there's just kind of like over the top craziness. I will give you that. I mean, like I said, it does go overboard sometimes, and I don't really have a lot to say in its defense, except I didn't mind it because again, when you talk about earning it, you're right. You're absolutely right. But like I said, with the other thing, as long as they kind of give me a good setup and they do it right in a way that I can kind of, that I can sort of get on board and buy it, then I'm okay. And I kind of felt like this does that. It's a good looking film. You can see the workmanship in putting it together that I can kind of forgive certain things or just look the other way. Like I said, hitting the fire hydrant and the water goes up and knocks the guy out. I'm like, that was tricky. I'm like, wow, what were the odds of him being directly above the thing at the exact, with most action movies, I mean, there's always that moment where you kind of have to kind of go, oh, well, that could happen, Yeah, and as long as the setup was there, I don't mind it. And I kind of feel like this one kind of does it. There's a lot of parts that do. I mean, even in the very, very beginning when he throws seriously. I mean, honestly, there's a huge case to be made for a lot of just unlikely moments when he's arresting the kid and when he first finds him in the apartment, right? And he's he's talking to the kid, and then there's a part when he runs to the window like he's gonna make a run for it. And even John McClane just kind of turns around like really? You're gonna run? Really? But just then, like, it was like, the shots come in the window. And the kid drops. Okay, there's a sniper outside. The kid runs to the window, almost presses his chest against the window, saying, please shoot me. And the guy shoots and misses twice. And the kid drops and ducks and the shootout starts. You really couldn't hit that kid. And then later, when he leaves the apartment, or when he sees the guys coming in up down the hallway, he grabs the fire extinguisher and throws it and shoots at it. It explodes, knocking this guy out a window.
Out the fucking window.
Now, would a fire extinguisher blow up if you shoot it? I don't think so. I know it's pressurized, but it's not like there's no gas in it. Like, why would it? So already I'm with you. There's already things in here that are, bordering on far-fetched. So yeah, I mean, I guess early on it asks you to kind of just sort of, again, like a successful movie will set you up, will set your expectations at a level in the beginning and say, here's the level we're at. Here's the level of believability we're going to play with here. And as long as as long as it doesn't break its own rules, then it's okay. And I sort of feel like it doesn't really. I feel like it sets up its own rules and more or less sticks to it. So this stuff, the far-fetched stuff later, again, it's not that far-fetched. There's enough that's grounded that makes you sort of say, all right, I'll take that one. We're gonna throw a car at a helicopter. Oh, all right, I don't know. Like I said, I just didn't happen to have much problem with some of that stuff. I mean, I totally agree and respect if for you or anybody else says, no, that is just way too much and I am just not on board with that crap. I could totally see why you would say it. But again, I felt, again, at the end of the day, the film had the charm that I'm looking for. It's got McClane, it's got action, it's got this, it's got the other thing. And again, I have this kind of feel. It feels like a quality, well-crafted movie. It looks good. The characters are good. The actors are good. Everything is working on it so well that I'm pretty willing to forgive, a couple of the sillier moments. Is it a perfect film? No. Is it Die Hard 1? No. It's not. But even Die Hard 1, gets over the top and crazy. So I mean, again, like it's been built up correctly. We've been sort of building to the crazy action parts, so I'm okay with it. When it actually happens, I'm totally on board. Does this do it that well? No, definitely not. But it does it enough. I felt like it was crafted well, and so by the time some of the craziness happened, I felt like, all right, this is. I was buying the universe. It sets up the world, sets up the rules, and I felt like it stayed within that. Even the Harrier jet part, again, like I said, I mean, it's like I'm not trying to tell anybody that this is logical and that this would happen, but I thought they set it up enough that when it actually sort of came to when it actually happened, I was pretty much on board.
Yeah, I feel you, man. I do. I just this is definitely one of those situations where. You know what? I'm quite okay with this particular level of disagreement with you because it's subjective. It really is. It really is a subjective argument, and I appreciate. Dude, I'll be honest with you. I freaking admire that you can look past it and enjoy it for what it is. Because I probably would also agree with you if I could get past it. But it's not like we even really disagree. We enjoyed the movie. We just feel a little bit differently about some of the action sequences. We feel that there's so much here that works. That's why I gave it like a 6.5. To me, a good movie is a 5. Okay, it's why why I started with a vengeance with a 5. It's like actually more like a 4. And then anything to me lower than a 5 is a movie that I won't necessarily seek out again. So
right, exactly.
If I find that this is, it's like what we used to call, I mean, the kids these days, God fucking knows, but what we used to call the TBS movie, where it's like, oh, look, X movie is on TBS. Fuck it. It's like, even though you own the DVD, you watch it anyway.
Right, yeah.
And Die Hard 4 is officially, to me, a TBS movie. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, I can watch this. I can enjoy this.
Yeah.
Whereas Die Hard with a Vengeance, I really don't want to watch it ever again.
Yeah, and that's exactly, and you know what, I think you nailed it on the head too. Because I mean, if Die Hard with a Vengeance is on TV, I can kind of take it or leave it. Because again, it's like at the end of the day, what are the scenes in Die Hard with a Vengeance that I really want to see again? What's going to happen? What's coming up that I love that scene, or I love this scene, and again, it could be a dialogue scene, it could be whatever. It doesn't have to be an action scene necessarily. But him and Samuel Jackson yelling at each other about you hate black people, you hate white people, and that sort of stuff. It's not enough. It's not enough for me to really sit and watch it and enjoy it and say, oh, you got to sit down and watch this. It's Die Hard 3. But this one, again, I find a lot of things in it that I'm willing to watch and willing to sit through again. And I would, if my nephew was over one night and he says, hey, Die Hard 4, I never saw this. Is it good? I'd be like, yeah, pop it in. Let's watch it.
You just killed a helicopter with a car. I was out of bullets.
I would agree with that. I don't have a. You know what? Even the technicality stuff aside, but you see, that's the thing. I can forgive some of the technicality stuff because it's a nice buzzword and stuff like that. But as long as you make it enjoyable, and this is enjoyable. This is a much nice return to form for the Die Hard series, and frankly, it makes me look a little bit more forward to Part 5. Although I'm still on the fence about whether that's going to be. Now, I just want to tell you something. I got to tell you this. I have never actually seen the 5th Die Hard, so this is going to be a brand new experience for me.
Oh, you're gonna love it. I can't wait for you to see this. Oh my God, it's gonna be. I won't say anything to taint the waters. It's a Die Hard movie. It's Die Hard Part 5, and you watch it, and we will discuss. I'm anxious for us to have that conversation.
You are a terrible poker player, sir.
Oh, he sees right through me. Oh.
But it's not going to be next week because I'm actually going to go see. We're going to go see Pirates of the Caribbean. Dead Men Tell No Tales.
Cool. So
we're going to do that.
We will take a short break next week from the Die Hard series. I know you're dying to hear what we have to say about Die Hard 5. Did they love it? Did they not? But yeah, we're gonna
tune in one additional week.
We will talk about the new Pirates of the Caribbean film. Right. So we will be back
and on that
next week with that.
All right, cool. On that note, you have a good night, my man. Good talking with you as always.
You too. I will see you here next week. Thanks for listening to the Reviews Without Remorse podcast with Joe and Dave. Join us here every Thursday for a new episode. And be sure to check out the Reviews Without Remorse channel on YouTube and VidMe for spoiler-free reviews of new releases, as well as in-depth discussions of current and classic cinema. If you enjoy this podcast, please consider becoming a patron. You can find our page at patreon.com. As little as $1 a month goes a long way. All clips in this podcast are used for commentary and critique, and is considered fair use. No copyright infringement is intended.